As that video shows, injuries to the head are not uncommon in sports and other recreational activities. They are common injuries with very serious consequences. I played basketball at a very high level for 7 years, and in high school, I sustained 4 concussions within a 2-year time span. That video was from my junior year, and after that video ended, I ended up being taken to the emergency room because I couldn't move my head or my neck. It was a very scary experience, but luckily it wasn't anything too serious. However, I did have to take a 2-week break from basketball in order to let my head heal. While most of us don't play sports, college sports, as college-age adults, we tend to be physically active and don't necessarily have the benefit of a coach or an athletic trainer looking out for these concussions. This makes it important that we are aware of the details ourselves so we can look out for these symptoms. Today I will explain what a concussion is and the short and long-term effects that it has on a person. First, let's understand what a concussion actually is. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, a concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury, or TBI, caused by a bump, blow, or jolt to the head, or by a hit to the body that causes the brain to move rapidly back and forth. When you get a concussion, your brain hits your skull, which can cause swelling. Your brain is surrounded by something called cerebrospinal fluid, and during the impact, the brain gets pushed up against the side of the skull, which can cause bruising to the brain. Different parts of the brain also move at different speeds as others, which can cause the nerve tissue inside the brain to stretch and tear. Most nerves can't repair themselves, and so this can cause permanent nerve damage. Most people who sustain a concussion, however, recover within 7 to 10 days. During these recovery days, it is important to limit screen time and severe mental strain. Before the brain is fully recovered, it can be very sensitive to light, including screen lights from a phone or a TV or even a laptop, and it can also be sensitive to sound. Now that we understand what a concussion is, let's understand the short-term effects. There are many short-term effects of a concussion. Upon impact, it is possible to black out. After gaining consciousness, many people experience sensitivity to light and or sound. They experience blurred vision, headaches, loss of balance, and many other variety of symptoms. It is very common for people to also experience this loss of balance. When you sustain a blow to the head, it causes damage to your fragile inner ear, which is where your center of balance is located. And so when you damage that, it damages that center, or it damages that sense of balance. Some symptoms that you can look for after a blow to the head is appearing dazed, a change in eating habits, or a change in sleeping patterns. Recognizing these symptoms is important because if we can recognize them, we can take the steps necessary to treat the concussion. Concussions can also cause cognitive impairment. Doctors use neuropsychological tests in order to examine memory, learning, attention, ability to process information, reaction time, and problem solving. They perform tests like asking you to repeat the months in a backwards order or remember and repeat a set of words that they give to you. Not only do concussions have short-term effects, they can have long-term effects as well, and these long-term effects tend to be much more serious. Long-term effects are rare, but it doesn't mean that they don't occur. Some of the less serious long-term effects include depression, memory problems, irritability, and disorders of taste and smell. The more serious long-term effects include post-concussion syndrome and second impact syndrome. Post-concussion syndrome is a disorder where you experience the symptoms of a concussion for weeks, months, or even years after a concussion occurs. Post-concussion syndrome, however, doesn't seem to have any association with the severity of the concussion. According to a study done by Tarek Bey and Brian Ostick, second impact syndrome occurs after someone who has sustained a concussion and still experiences the symptoms for weeks after the concussion. If they return to play and within several weeks sustain a second concussion, it can cause brain swelling and herniation, which can in turn lead to death. Some people who have experienced several serious concussions are at higher risk of developing chronic traumatic encephalopathy, otherwise known as CTE. The Concussion Legacy Foundation describes CTE as a degenerative brain disease that occurs from multiple impacts or blows to the head. In CTE, after you sustain this blow, a protein called tau develops in the brain, and this protein spreads throughout the brain and destroys the brain cells. Destroying these brain cells can affect the person's mood and behavior. It often causes irritability, depression, and other changes in behavior. Individuals often have difficulty controlling impulses and making decisions. Combining this with depression can be a fatal combination, and many individuals who have had CTE have committed suicide. In conclusion, we can all benefit from understanding a little bit more about concussions. We all have the opportunity to stay active and play sports, but with that comes the chance of sustaining a concussion. It is important to know what a concussion is and the effects that it can have. Concussions are not rare, but they are very serious injuries that shouldn't be taken lightly. According to HeadcaseCompany.com, in 2012, there were 3.8 million concussions reported, double what that number was in 2002. This number is obviously on the rise, and because of that, it is important to understand how concussions can impact our lives. Thank you.